Hello once again folks, Fall to Drive, you're very welcome to another video from Gundog and Fly. And today I'm going to be dealing with a question that I'm asked a lot. People say to me, you're always banging on about delicacy and that sort of thing, approaching spooky trout and the best methods and all the rest of it, and how do you attach your leader to your fly line. So I've tried many ways over the years. You'll notice a lot of fly lines now, when you buy them, they have loops already attached, they're built into them while they're being manufactured. And essentially all they are is just they loop the line back on itself and they cement it together, and basically what it does is it doubles the weight of the end of the fly line. And for me that's a no-no, because when you have extra weight at the end of the fly line, you get a splash, you cannot get a proper turnover of your fly, and it's just messy. Basically what you've done is you have a nice little taper here, another taper in front, and then in the middle you have this bulk which makes the whole thing hinge and it doesn't work properly. So the first thing I do when I buy a fly line, if it has a loop on it, I immediately snip it off. And a good alternative is to use a nail knot, and I have a nail knot tire here. If I'm in a hurry, I nail knot leader onto the fly line and it does just fine, but there is a better way. And this requires a bit of work though, that's the only thing. The nail knot tire, you can tie the knot in a minute or maybe 2 minutes, but this requires a bit of work, but I would contend that it's definitely worth the effort. You'll see here, obviously this is the fly line, this is a double taper 5, and this is a 12-foot tapered leader that I've attached to it, and as you'll see there is no lumps, bumps, humps or otherwise. What we have is what I like to call a true taper. From my hand all the way to the fly there's a taper. It starts out like that and it gradually narrows until it reaches the fly with no interruptions. That way you get a really nice turnover and you get a delicate presentation, which is absolutely necessary if you're fishing for spooky fish like I do a lot of the time. Now they get even more spooky as you go on into the summertime and the river levels drop. They can see things much more clearly, so delicacy is imperative, and I harp on about it a good bit, but it's absolutely necessary if you want to have any success. So this is part of the puzzle when it comes to delicacy, attaching your leader to the fly line, and this is how it's done. So what will you need in order to make this attachment? Basically, obviously you have to have your fly line, a tapered leader, or maybe you're not using tapered leaders for whatever reason. Whatever type of leader you're attaching, you need that obviously, and the fly line. Scissors, pliers of some kind. These are flat nose pliers. They do the trick fine. A pretty big needle and super glue. That's what you need, and this is how it's done. Okay folks, bear in mind you're going to need a bit of patience now to do this. This isn't the easiest job in the world, but trust me, it's worth doing. Fly line and the needle. I need to get the needle into the fly line. Now this, and twist and twist and twist and twist until, and it's not the easiest of operations. Oftentimes the needle will go through the fly line and sometimes it can stab you in the finger, so be aware of that. Don't blame me if you stab yourself in the finger. Just be ultra careful. Now how do I know? Because I've stabbed myself many times with the needle, and let me tell you, because you're applying a lot of force to it, it goes in a long ways and it hurts. Anyway, you need to get in about 10 millimeters or just a quarter of an inch or thereabouts, and when you're in there, you just catch the line, there we are, and put it like that. So the needle is coming out now through the side of the fly line, if you like. Now push it up onto the needle. That's easier if you hold the needle with the pliers. There we are. Now my tapered leader is here. So now put the tapered leader through the eye of the needle. And now comes the most difficult part. If you try to push the fly line out over the eye of the needle, it's almost impossible. So you need the pliers to grip it here really tightly. And then you pull the fly line until it goes out over like that. And now we have the tapered leader in the fly line, as you can quite plainly see there. Next thing to do now is just to tie an overhand knot in the tapered leader. Now when you have this overhand knot tied, you need to pull it really tight. Again, I'm using the pliers to do that, so you make the knot as small as possible. So the knot now is, as you can see, really tight. And now I'm going to pull it up to just short of the fly line. You see it here now? And now super glue. I'm going to put the tiniest drop, and I mean tiniest drop, onto the knot. There we are, just the tiniest, as small an amount as you can get onto the knot. You don't want to flood it because your fingers will stick to it as well. And then you pull the knot until it goes into the fly line, and it may not go in all the way, right? It's not necessary for it to go in all the way. If it goes in halfway, that's enough, because it will get a super grip, and it's already got a super grip. Now all I'm going to do is just trim off that little waste piece there. And now we have that lovely taper. Now just one final thing to do, just to make it ultra secure, again with the super glue, just put one tiny drop where the fly line meets the tapered leader, and what will happen is that glue will creep in into the fly line, and it goes in by what's known as capillary action, believe it or believe it not. It creeps in basically into the fly line and secures the whole thing together. And now what you have is you have that lovely taper. No loops, hinges, braided loops, manufactured loops, or any kind of loop. What you have now is a true taper, and that's what we're aiming to get. So that, for me folks, is the best way I know of attaching tapered leader or any form of leader to your fly line, so that you get a nice neat taper without any interruptions. So get to work, folks. So there you go, folks, that's it. Does require a bit of work and a bit of dexterity, and you might have to do it a few times before you succeed, but it's the best way I know of getting that true taper. If anybody knows of a better way, please let me know. In the meantime, just want to thank everybody for watching the video, and consider subscribing if you're not already a subscriber, and like the video, share it around. Other people might like to see this method worked. And if you really like my channel, I'd appreciate it if you visited my Patreon page. There's a link in the description. For any support would be appreciated. And thanks again for joining me. Make up your true taper, and you will find that it will improve your catch, just because you get that lovely turnover, you get that nice delicate fall of the line onto the water. No splashing, no messing around, no hinging or any of that. So be sure to do this to your fly lines if you're fishing for spooky fish. So that's it, folks. Thanks once again, and be me a kaint live an céadúr eile idir an gálinn bígí sláin agus níos tábhairtí ná sin bígí ag giascracht. Slán tamó.